Hi, mamas and friends. It's Sarah from Late Night Coffee Moms. Oh, I gotta get comfortable again. I always settle in, and then as soon as I hit play, I find myself horribly uncomfortable and have to adjust. But that's how I am when I'm talking to a friend face to face, too. I've got to readjust, got to get my pillow, put it on my lap, and settle in, right? So before we get to our verse, I have a couple just kind of questions for you guys. The first one is just neither here nor there, but I am enjoying one of my a French pressed Abide coffee that I brewed in my French press, but it's the Hi Eunice. It's the dark side blend. So if anybody's tried Abide coffee and they've tried the dark side blend, I really would like to know what you think. It is my absolute favorite because it is not hand roasted, but family kitchen roasted in a family's house. Every batch is like slightly different, just, because life and because it's not a factory, it's a family home kitchen that's roasting it, but it's never failed me. I love Abide Coffee's dark roast. It's called the Dark Side Blend. They are not a sponsor. I am not an affiliate. I just really, really, really like their coffee. And I figure, hey, if I like their coffee, why not share it with other people, right? So I don't know if any of you guys have seen the post on Pinterest or the meme or whatever that says, there's two different ones that I think are hilarious. The one that's, if you see me running, you better run too, because I must be being chased by something. And then there's the other one that says, I never run with scissors. And then underneath it says the last two words are unnecessary because I never run. That's me. I do not enjoy running. I do enjoy working out, but it has to be really fun and there has to be good music and a friend with me. But I do not like running. But I know a lot of mamas who do, and I kind of am a little bit jealous because it sounds like such a great way to work out, a great way to blow off steam, and it's just never been something I've either been good at or enjoyed. So that kind of leads us into our verse because we're at Hebrews 12 today. And of course, Hebrews 12 comes right after Hebrews 11, and Hebrews 11 is known as the chapter of faith. It's like the great hall of, oh my goodness, my brain is just not working. It's like the hall of fame for faith, the hall of faith and it lists people and how they were faithful to the Lord. And then the last few verses are about the brand new Christians and the prophets who were, I'm just looking at my Bible real quick. It talked, whipped, jeered at, chained in prison, stoned, sawed in half, killed with a sword, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. All these horrible ways to die. And yet, they are considered, they were faithful even in spite of all that. And we're not talking about really persecution today, but we're going on to the next verse, which is chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses, and that's referring to, the prophets and the hall of faith, the great chapter of faith, the people listed in there. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And this is my focus today. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. So even though I don't like the physical act of running, we're all running a race. What does your race look like right now? I know being a mother is always an exercise in faith, and you're running not to just raise good kids. In fact, most of the parents I talk to, they don't really want to raise good kids. They want to raise secure, faithful adults. You know, they start out with kids, but they're not going to stay that way. You don't want them to be a kid forever. You want to lead them into being a better adult, a better person of faith in their adult walks, right? So that's a huge race within itself. And homeschooling adds a different angle to that. You know, you're racing for graduation. You're racing to make sure their education is what God intended and still fits in with the standards that the world wants you to fulfill, but without getting rid of your faith, right? And I thought of this verse, let us run with endurance. Why is he telling us to run with endurance? Because it's hard. It's hard. You don't have to run with endurance things that are fun and easy. You don't get tired out as quickly. But he doesn't say just persevere. He says run. Just here's the goal. Charge after it. Run. I mean, if you have ever seen me run, I am the kind of runner that like flails, trips, huffs, sputters. You know, I am a horrible runner. But he's telling you to just all in out, give everything and charge ahead. Run. And run with endurance. And then this part, the race that God has set before us. The race of faith that God has set before us. The race of what is God asking you to run to prove your faith? Is it just being a mother? Is it, and there is no just to that, okay? Is it being a mother? Is it being a wife? Is it being a homeschooler? Is it being a mother of children with special needs? Is it being a great friend in the midst of exhaustion? Is it fighting off a disease? What is the race of faith God's asking you to run that he has set up before you in this time of your life? And while you're running the race, this verse is telling you, you are surrounded by a huge crowd of witnesses. And yes, they're talking about the witnesses in chapter 11 of Hebrews, but also look around to all the women, like the Titus 2 women that are around you, the ones who love their children, love their husband, who love the Lord, who are, you know, even-tempered, who go out of their way to instruct the younger women, right? These are also your witnesses. Look around for moms who have the same experience as you in a similar way at least, and see how they've persevered. One thing I do whenever I'm going to a new co-op or church or anything like that is I look at the children. Because if I see a child who, they might have issues, they might have problems, we're not perfect, but do I see a child who keeps trying to do what's right? They might fail all the time, but do they keep trying to do what's right? Then I know behind them is a parent who's taught them to run with endurance, no matter if they're successful or not. They might be the biggest social failure on the playground, whatever, like there is such a thing, but they never stop trying. That's somebody who's been taught there's a huge crowd of witnesses around them, and that they can live a life of faith by just running with purpose, running with endurance. And then the next verse in Hebrews 12 says, we do this, we run with endurance by keeping our eyes on Jesus, not on standardized tests, not on GPAs, not on what our friends' children look like, not by what their homeschool looks like, not by what their quiet time with God looks like, not what their clothes look like, what their hair looks like, if they have a job, if they're a stay-at-home mom, if they're a career woman, if they're a mompreneur. We don't look at those things. We keep our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. So when you're training for anything in your life, whether it's motherhood or a race, you don't look to the people who failed repeatedly, and just sat down. You look for the champions, the ones who's persevered through things similar to you, the ones who win, the ones who never get up, the ones who encourage people along. So why would we do any different in our mom walks, right? So find a mom mentor. this is really hard for me anyway, in my areas. I mean, I have found many mom mentors, but because in my homeschool circle, I'm starting to like age out. That's so crazy to me because I've been doing this for 11 years now, which means I have a 9th/10th grader. So I'm coming to the end of my race for that particular run, right? That particular race is starting to end. And even though me being a mother doesn't end at graduation, and even me being a homeschool mother doesn't end at that student's graduation, it continues, and it continues on how I encourage and influence people. I'm starting to be seen as someone who should be like a mentor, not the mentor, excuse me, but a mentor. So it's hard because sometimes these mamas in homeschool, but also in the church and just in everyday life, when they've completed a race, just one part of their race, of the big race, but one stretch, one lap, one leg, I'm done being the mom of a toddler. I'm done being the mom of a teenager. I'm done being a mom of a homeschooler. I'm done being the mom to a 30-something. I'm now grandma. You know, they're getting new legs of their races. Sometimes they tap out. They walk away. They're exhausted from that part of their life, and they're so focused on their next leg of their race, they forget that there's people behind them that need them to cheer them on, right? So I'm at that stage. So I'm hoping I can be a voice to cheer you guys on, because that's what I really would like to do. Is no, I'm not a mentor. I'm not an expert in any field, as I've told you. I just love you guys, and I want to see you succeed. My turtle is freaking me out. He's eating something. He keeps moving. It's scaring me. I want to see you guys succeed in your walk with the Lord, in your raising of children. I want to encourage you to make memories with them. I want to encourage you to listen to them. I want to encourage you to show them how to carve out time for you and your husband in front of them. I want to be an encourager. I want to be a cheerleader on the sidelines as I'm running my own race, as I keep looking toward Jesus, as I just all out, arms flailing, just charge ahead. When we're on the same track, when I'm on the same track with you, or if I can see your track from far away, I want to be there rooting for you. And I hope you guys feel that way, that I am cheering you on. This is not, my lives are not a place of judgment. I care about your struggles, and I care about what's going on in your lives, but I do not care what your life looks like from the outside. I care about you guys. I really hope you guys get that. So this week, I want to just encourage you to run like crazy. Run. Keep your eyes on Jesus and charge ahead at him. Encourage your family to come along. Love on them as they're going. Pick them up when they fall down and charge ahead. I love that I'm surrounded by such a great group of moms and friends on these little lives. And I just, I'm praying for you. Keep up the good work. Don't get weary. All right. Catch you later.